It started with something ordinary: spreadsheets, receipts, and the dull blue glow of a laptop that had seen too many late nights. My name's Julia, 33, HR manager at a tech firm. I've seen every excuse people invent to justify their mistakes: clerical error, miscommunication, business development dinner. I just never thought I'd find one in my own house. It was a Sunday, the kind of day meant for laundry and leftover coffee. Eli was out networking. I was doing expense reports, cross-checking our shared credit card statement, because I'm the kind of person who balances things: accounts, relationships, expectations. That's when I saw it. A line item buried between groceries and utilities. The Alden Hotel, 2 nights, 482s. Not shocking in itself. We travel for work sometimes, but the name listed on the receipt wasn't his. It was his boss's. At first, my brain tried to negotiate. Maybe it was a company trip. Maybe the billing system was weird. HR training kicks in before heartbreak does. Find context, stay objective, verify facts. But as the cursor blinked beside her name, something inside me stilled. It didn't feel like discovery. It felt like confirmation. He said he was working late to impress her. Turns out the promotion wasn't the only thing he was chasing. Before you judge me for not asking right away, understand this. I wanted to believe in him more than I trusted myself. I work in HR. I know what working late looks like. The endless Slack messages, the last-minute calls, the client dinners that blur into nightcaps. It's the rhythm of our industry. Exhaustion disguised as ambition. Eli and I were a professional couple. We ran on shared calendars and meal preps, not spontaneity. Our love lived in logistics: pick up dry cleaning, order printer ink, see you after the board meeting. We didn't talk about feelings much, but I told myself that was fine. Silence felt like maturity. When he told me about mentoring a brilliant new VP, I was proud. I even helped him pick a bottle of wine for her birthday. Something polished, but not too personal. If ambition had a smell, I used to joke, it would be your cologne. But somewhere along the way, I started noticing it lingered longer when he came home. He talked about her ideas the way people talk about things they wish they'd thought of first. And between her performance reviews and his promotion goals, I stopped recognizing which one of us he was really trying to impress. We met the way ambitious people always do, somewhere between deadlines and exhaustion. It was a corporate retreat upstate, the kind with uncomfortable icebreakers and overpriced coffee. He noticed how I kept my notes organized. I noticed how he made exhaustion look elegant. We were 2 people who mistook shared burnout for chemistry. He admired my composure. I admired his drive. That's how it starts. Mutual recognition disguised as love. We built a home that looked like success. Clean lines, neutral colors, vacations planned 6 months ahead, a coffee machine that cost too much but made mornings feel like progress. Our lives were spreadsheets of intention. Every choice budgeted, every dream scheduled. He worked late, but it felt noble then. We both did. We believed we were climbing together, side by side, each late night a joint investment in our future. We didn't fight about work. We worshipped it. We believed devotion could be measured in output. Sometimes he'd tease me, "You're too good at what you do. It's intimidating." I'd laugh, brush it off as flirtation, but lately, I've started replaying that line in my head. I thought it was a compliment. Now I wonder if it was a warning. Maybe he didn't want a partner who could match him. Maybe he wanted someone who'd stay impressed. In our world, love wasn't measured in words. It was in whose career could survive another quarter. It started slowly, the way most things do when you're too tired to notice. Eli began coming home later. New projects, new deadlines, new reasons to stay in an office I'd only ever seen through glass walls and polite smiles. He dressed differently too. Not in the sharp suits of client meetings, but in something softer. Dark shirts, open collars, expensive sneakers. Casual, curated. The kind of effort men put into looking effortless. I didn't think much of it at first. I worked late too. That's how people like us show love, by being unavailable for everything except ambition. Then I noticed her name. Samantha. His boss, the one who'd just been promoted to director. Her texts popped up after hours. Short messages, not personal, but not strictly professional either. Running late? Send me the deck. That was impressive today. Can you hop on a quick call? When I asked about it, he smiled like I'd complimented him. "She's intense but brilliant," he said. "I'm learning a lot from her." And that was that. Praise disguised as professionalism. A few weeks later, I ran into Samantha at a networking event. She was magnetic, sharp suit, quick wit, the kind of presence that makes everyone lean in without realizing. We chatted briefly. She mentioned Eli before I did, laughed about how we've been living at the office lately. It was the way she said it. Casually, confidently, like they were already branded together. A matched set. I smiled, nodded, made the usual polite noises. HR composure. My best costume. On the way home, I told myself not to spiral. Women in power are always misunderstood. If she were a man, I'd probably call it mentorship. Still, the word wouldn't leave my head. It sounded too familiar, too easy. That night, I watched him sleep, perfectly calm, one hand over his chest like nothing had shifted. If I accused every woman who liked him of wanting him, I'd be unemployed and single. So I didn't accuse anyone. I just started noticing everything. It happened the way most heartbreaks do, between ordinary tasks. Eli was asleep, breathing steady beside me. I was at the kitchen table, half distracted, logging invoices for work. Habit made me check our joint credit statement too. An act of responsibility, not suspicion. The charge sat halfway down the page, buried between Amazon and Waitrose. The Alden Hotel, 2 nights, $482. A luxury chain near the conference venue he'd just attended. At first, I thought it was work-related. Then I noticed the billing name, S. Carrington. Samantha. I told myself there was an explanation. I even made one up. Company card error, admin mix-up, something innocent. But HR reflex is a curse. Curiosity is always dressed as verification. So I called the hotel. For clarification, the receptionist confirmed the booking under Samantha Carrington, paid for by Mr. Eli Ward. 2 nights. 2 guests. There were 2 separate charges. One for the room, one for room service. 2 covers. My hands didn't shake. They kept typing reports, as if pretending to be busy could protect me. But inside, something unhooked. It wasn't rage, it was absence. I sat there until the screen dimmed, listening to the sound of him turning in bed. The next morning, he made coffee, hummed while tying his tie, kissed my forehead like a habit. I didn't picture the cheating. I pictured the ease. How comfortable he must have been. How routine it had become. It wasn't the betrayal that broke me. It was realizing how well practiced he was at it. For days, I said nothing. Went to work, handled reports about other people's office affairs, the whispers, the denials, the policies. I wanted to tell HR. Then I remembered, I am HR. I didn't leave him right away. That would have been too clean, too cinematic for the kind of betrayal that seeps instead of strikes. Instead, I went quiet. Stopped texting first. Stopped waiting up. Stopped filling the air with the kind of noise that helps liars hide, Eli noticed. They always do. He started performing kindness. Flowers, dinner reservations, little notes on the fridge. Acts of service that felt less like affection and more like crisis management. He'd say, "You've seemed distant lately." And I'd smile. "Just busy." That word had become our love language. Busy. One evening, over dinner, I asked it casually, as if it had just occurred to me. "So, did your boss enjoy the conference?" His fork froze midair, just for a second, then he smiled, smooth as glass. "Barely saw her. We were in meetings all day." I nodded. Didn't press, didn't need to. The silence did the work for me. He looked relieved, and that somehow made me angrier than any confession could have. At work, I buried myself in recruitment. A new HR coordinator role had opened, and routine felt safe, predictable. Until one resume caught my eye, a candidate who'd listed Samantha Carrington as a reference. I stared at the name for a long time before dialing the number. When she answered, her tone was warm, professional, the kind of woman who never needs to apologize for taking up space. I told her who I was, what I was calling about. "Oh, of course," she said, "and please tell Eli I said hello. He's been such a great support these past few weeks." Support. Present tense. He told me the affair ended months ago. It hadn't ended. It had just been rebranded. That night, I came home to him setting the table, wine poured, candles lit, an apology scene with no script yet. I didn't raise my voice. I just said, quietly, "I know." He froze again. Then came the rehearsed lines, the sigh, the shame, the words temporary, mistake, career confusion. He tried to make it sound strategic, as if betrayal were just a miscalculation on a balance sheet. "Don't dress it up in corporate language," I said. "Just call it what it is." He said, "I'm sorry," like it was a KPI he needed to hit. And I realized then, I wasn't married to a man. I was married to a brand that couldn't afford bad press. He moved out quietly, like a meeting postponed instead of canceled, said it was temporary, just some space to clear our heads. And I realized then, I wasn't married to a man. I was married to a brand that couldn't afford bad press. He moved out quietly, like a meeting postponed instead of canceled, said it was temporary, just some space to clear our heads. He packed lightly, a few shirts, his toothbrush, not even his work laptop. I found it the next morning, sitting on the desk where he used to rehearse his ambitions. I didn't call him. I just sent it back to his office with a yellow post-it stuck to the lid. "For your next project." At work, I stayed composed. It's easy to perform empathy when it's your job title. I mediated conflict, coached others through heartbreak disguised as burnout, listened to stories that sounded too close to mine. Friends told me to quit. "You need a new environment, Julia." But leaving felt like rewarding him with a story. I didn't want to be the woman who fled. I wanted to be the one who stayed, quietly outlasting him. Months passed. I heard through mutual contacts that Eli had been transferred. New role, new city, same ambition. Samantha resigned soon after. Personal reasons, the company memo said. Corporate gossip filled in the blanks. But I didn't need to hear it. I already knew how their stories tended to end. Not with regret, but with rebranding. One night, I sat on the floor and scrolled through old photos, deleting them one by one. Except one. He was at his desk in that photo, light hitting his face just right. His eyes sharp and certain, like the world was a problem he'd already solved. That's the version of him I fell in love with. That's the version that ruined me. In HR, we call it an exit interview. In love, it's just leaving without feedback. A year later, I'm still here. Same firm, different title, HR director now. Promotion, better office, same ache. My life looks tidy again, on paper at least. I handle other people's problems, approve budgets, nod in meetings, mentor new hires who still believe work can save them. Sometimes his name still appears on my screen. A LinkedIn notification, another announcement, another shiny post about leadership and growth. Eli Ward, promoted to regional finance lead. He's always thriving. I don't block him. I just scroll past. That's its own kind of indifference, not revenge, not forgiveness, just apathy that learned how to walk upright. He wanted to impress his boss. In the end, he just became her reflection. Polished, replaceable, and already being imitated by the next one. People like them never crash. They just transfer. Sometimes when I stay late, I catch myself staring at the expense reports on my screen. Hotel charges, travel reimbursements, little lies written in professional language. It doesn't hurt anymore. It just feels like repetition. We think betrayal is about someone leaving you. It's not. It's about realizing you stayed loyal to a story that had already ended. Some people chase promotions. Others chase people. Either way, it's still ambition. Just pointed in the wrong direction. And when the office goes quiet, I open another report, type another note, and don't flinch at the word Alden Hotel when it appears again.